We are live with another episode of Commercial Roofing Radio, and I have one of the best guests you could ever have on a podcast, Jack Hanks. Experience matters, and boy, experience really matters in the public adjuster world, and you guys have no idea. This guy has more of that experience than most people you've ever met. 31 years in the public adjusting space. Oh, man. So there's nobody else public adjusting that I would rather trust with your claims. And believe me, I know big roofs and big claims. Jack Hanks, it is a pleasure to have you on the show, man. How are you doing today?
Thanks, brother, man. Good to be here. Yeah, it's 31 years really sinks in when you hear it. It's crazy,
Jeez,
right?
It hurts me. Yeah, I was born in 91.
Now I feel really old. So
yeah. You're getting up there, man.
Yeah, all right.
So man, it's funny. That's where I like to start these episodes out with. I want to know more about you. I think people buy from you. You know, this is Commercial Roofing Radio. We're going to talk big roofs. There's not many people out there who's doing more big roofs than you. But I want to start with you, Jack. Like, tell me about yourself. How'd you get into the business, your upbringing? Like, tell me about you, Jack.
Oh man, well, you know, my dad was a plumber way back in Indiana back in the day, right? So every summer I dug ditches and hauled pipe and did all the garbage work that all the plumbers helpers did. And I was like, there's no way in God's green earth I'm going to ever get back in this construction thing, right? So my highfalutin self went to Indiana University for 4 years, and then I got my 2.0 grade point average, my little political science degree, and got out of college, and lo and behold, my first job was with a contractor. So I literally jumped back in, and here we are, right? I told myself I'm never going to do it for a living, but once you're in, right? So yeah, my first insurance claim was 1992, and I remember it was off a fire scanner back in the day, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. They're like, "Hey, go out and here's an address. This lady that's had a fire. Go knock on her door and see if she needs our help." I'm like, "All right, whatever." No idea, right? So I literally knocked on. I'll never forget. It was a State Farm fire claim. I knocked on the door. I did whatever I did, and she said yes, and Lily signed an authorization form right then and there. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then it kind of just took off from there. And it's just been, we've all had ups and downs, ins and outs, roundabouts. But you know, it's this business we're in is it's a very good, I like it because we can be a good guy, right? We can do the right thing, help people. And I think that's why we're all in it for at the end of the day. I mean, the money comes and goes, bro. We all make it, lose it, keep it, whatever. But helping people and businesses get back on their feet is kind of the neat thing that I think we're all kind of ingrained in as a community. So yeah, but grew up in Indiana, you know, got my degree, and then here we are.
I could never see Jack Hanks, the plumber. I don't think I could envision it, man.
It was a lot of work. I'm not going to – those pipes are heavy, bro, especially up in basements, 3 stories. And, yeah, I worked my tail off. But, you know, that's one thing I give my father a lot of credit is the work ethic, man. I think not to brag, but I think that sets us apart from a lot of other firms is we all just work hard. We work hard, and we grind. We're not afraid to grind, and hard work is okay, right? You know, and – yeah, it's not for the lighthearted what we do, and I think that's been ingrained in me. And then you know, our whole team is the same way. You learn how to work hard. That's you can't buy that or train that.
No, it's crazy. There's this new generational fad going on, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like this generation. They think it's cool not to work hard. I was talking to somebody in the tech space. And he was literally bragging about how many hours a week that he works or lack thereof hours, and talking about if you catch him at a certain time, then he's not he's not as good. I'm like, what the hell are you saying? Like, shut up. This is not cool. Like, work ethic is everything.
It's a fine line, though. You know, honestly, it's cost me relationships in a marriage. Yeah. And so you got to find that. What I was horrible at in the beginning was the balance. It was like, literally, I'm just going to work, and y'all can figure it out from there. You know, but being a parent and now a little bit older now, you kind of learn where you got to have a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
My phone is always on, but at the same time, I'm able to say, hey, you know what, man, let me call you back tomorrow. Let me call you back tomorrow afternoon. I want to talk to you, but at the same time, I'm golfing with my kids, or, we're at a family dinner or whatever. And I didn't do that for a long time, and it wasn't healthy. It wasn't smart. But I think you got to find a little bit of a balance, right? But the lack of, I'll tell you what, man, the lack of work ethic is a problem.
It is.
And it's, a lot of, I see from our side, a lot of PAs are like, man, I got my test taken. I'm going to go set a bunch of claims and money's easy. And dude, it's not, bro. It's not. You got to go after this stuff, brother. You got to grind this stuff out, and I'm in the office every day at 6:30, 6:15, because, I live on the West Coast, and then stuff on the East Coast starts 3 hours earlier than us. So my phone's from 5:30 to 9 pretty much every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. There's always stuff going on. I can't remember one day the last 10 years where something work-related hasn't come up. Even like on a Christmas Day, something pops up or whatever. It happens. And you got to be, the biggest thing is I'm very proud of is our availability for our clients. Like you can always, we're always here for them. And that means a lot, I think, because when they need you, they need you.
To be honest with you, I consider you a good friend. I like to call you just to talk to you, and I don't call you that much because I'm afraid to bother you because I know how busy you are. I don't want to be a hindrance to Jack. And so I get it.
We're very blessed because honestly, I have just a plethora of friendships in this business, and the older I get, the less business I have to talk more. It's just, hey, what's going on? And it's cool. We're at that point in our careers where we can. Just our presence alone is getting us claims.
Yeah.
It's kind of so we're able to.
It's cool.
Form those relationships. That's the cool part. So.
But it wasn't always like that. So let's back up and let's start there. 92 was that first fire claim. Tell me about your experience in the 90s. Like, where did you start? Is there a firm that you want to talk about that you started with? Was it people who trained you, mentored you? Like, how did you do this?
Well, honestly, it was. I look back now, I had a lot of really bad training, but at the same time, that was great, right? Because you don't know which. So every time I advanced, I learned what I was doing wrong more than I was doing right. Once again, I always had the work ethic, and I'm a pretty good sales guy, and I'm not shy, so I always had that in my bucket, right? Right?
That plays to your strengths, for sure.
Yeah. So the hard part was I kept every time I advanced or did my own thing or whatever, I started looking at the stuff I was doing wrong and like, damn. So I started in 92, and back then, dude, there was no internet, there was no iPhones, faxes had just come out. I had a pager and a yellow notepad, bro, and a bunch of quarters in my pickup truck, and every morning I literally got up every morning and I had my cassette recorder voice activated to the fire scanner, and I would go through all the fires every night and see what fires there were in Phoenix, and I'd literally drive my ass with a stack of business cards and my roll of quarters to these fires and try and catch the owner of the property and say, hey, here's what we can do to help and blah, blah, blah. I was literally a fire chaser, right? And I got to know the firemen, and I got to know these. That's how it worked, because there was no other. Yeah. Weren't on the internet. There was no Twitter. There was no. So you had to figure it out organically how to do this stuff. And I swear to God, that's the best training ever. Because talk about running your ass off to make a living. I literally ran my ass off to make a living, and then it was crazy, dude. It's just that's how it all started, man. Literally with a pager, roll of quarters, and yellow notepad. And we just follow up. And there was no cell phones, right? So you had to catch the person at the property at the specific time and know when to go in there and not piss them off, or how to learn to earn their trust and stuff.
Was this in? I'm picturing all this. I see Jack going crazy, chasing storms, and
my mullet
talking to firefighters.
I was good back then.
Where was this? What part of the country?
This is Phoenix. So I moved here in '88. Wow. I graduated college in 1988, and then I stumbled around, and I moved here on December 2nd of '88. But I started in '89 and started working that stuff. It's been crazy. Wow. Yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona in the early 90s. I bet that was a different world as well.
Yeah, it's Phoenix is real. Back then it wasn't, right? So it's a lot different now. But it's talk about great training. I mean, just not knowing anything and not knowing anything about our business or fire restoration or claims or construction or whatever. I was just, but honestly, by the second year, I was owed so much money. I had to start my own restoration companies. I was owed too much money, right? Because they couldn't keep up with the volume. So I was 25 and I'm just going to start my own thing. And, we got going and got crazy busy. And then about 5 years into it, I failed miserably because we had too much work. We had so much money or so much claim or jobs coming in. The money didn't keep up. So we had to shut that thing down and figure it out and take a deep breath. And it was crazy.
So, and this was the restoration company and not the public adjusting company?
Yeah. So the PA thing, that's 10 times easier than being a restoration guy. I have so much empathy and sympathy for those guys. And it's just because the money never keeps up, man. You never get paid quick enough.
It's a cash flow nightmare.
Pour all that money out, buy the materials, pay the guys, and hope the check comes. And that's a shitty way to make a living. But at the same time, you learn and you adapt and you grow. And that's why I got into this business, man. So,
So you've been through multiple big businesses. So what did you learn the most about failing? What is there anything that?
Yeah, you know what it was? I'll tell you what, the last couple of years, I used to have 70 employees. I mean, all this stuff, right? Blah, blah, blah. In 12 different states as a restoration guy and all these employees. And I used to think it was my way or the highway, right? And here's what I'm going to do. And you all need to fit into my box or you're out. And I kept blowing through people and staff. And I'm like, because, dude, here's the thing. I'm a type A Gemini only child, right? That's a lot to deal with, right? Personally and business-wise. So I was very boom. And I would just go and I'd worry about all the crap behind me later. And I was leaving a trail of garbage behind me. And I expected all these people to clean up the mess behind me. And that wasn't fair nor right or the right thing to do. But I learned the last 5 or 6 years that I have a business plan in my head, but I need to adapt to my staff as well because they have different needs, different ideals. I need to listen more, be a better leader. Leader isn't telling, it's listening and adapting, right? And I've learned that because before it was, once again, only child Gemini type A is you think you understand everything, and at the end of the day you really don't, because it's every business without people around you and a good team. I can do it by myself and do one bazillionth of the volume, right? So that's what I've learned, is to be more adaptable, listen better, lead without demanding is a big thing. And the cool part is my guys know that right now there's not one job in this company I won't do. I'll sleep in a trailer. I'll climb a roof. I'll get in an attic. And I think that, you get that respect from these guys. And I think that carries over as well. There's not one thing I won't do that I ask them to do, right? And I think they know that. So.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. I mean, and leading is not about you. Like you said, it's about them. It's how do I make better people? I mean, you could always be the best Jack Hanks, the best this, and you're definitely a lead from the front type of guy. But, you've got to lead people by making them better.
It only goes so far, because at the end of the day, you can only do so much, right? There's only 12 good working hours in a day, or whatever that number is. And, we're running 500-600 claims at a time. You physically can't do that. Or mentally do that. So you got to learn to you can't push. You have to learn how to get them to buy in, right? And believe in the vision. And that's been a big eye awakening experience the last 4 or 5 years. So huge. And it took me 50 years to get there, unfortunately, but whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, I love all that. I want to hear right now a little bit more about the early years, when you first started. So you started that restoration company. It just interests me. I like storytelling. Storytelling is again. So with going back to those early years, what was it that catapulted your growth? I mean, I look at you today, and many people do, and they're like, Jack's got it going on. He's got all the business. Was it always that way? Were you always national? Was there a time you were just like Arizona fire claims? How did that growth get to where it is today?
So my biggest problem, Alan, is I like to grow, and I usually grow too fast, right?
Okay.
So if I have one thing I'm good at is bringing work in the door. Okay. That's my little niche, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. I just have a little knack for it, and I'm pretty good at it.
I've always damn good. I'll brag on you. You're great at it. Like Jack is, and I'll get into more bragging on you later. But yeah. So you've just been really good at that.
So the front end has always been the best. That's the fun part, right? They're going out and getting claims signed and meeting clients for lunch and going to dinner, and that's the fun stuff, right? That's the icing on the cake, right? The hard part always has been the back and the middle, because once again, I'm running 800 miles an hour, and I always thought, man, why can't everybody just run 800 miles? This is easy. Get a bunch of work, get a bunch of painters, drywall guys, demo guys, carpet guys. What's the big deal? This thing's. And then you realize that the world doesn't operate that way. And that's been eye-opening and hard. It's lessons learned every time. And, when I first started doing this, we would get a call. We'd meet the independent adjuster on the claim or the USAA guy or the State Farm guy. We'd go through it like blah, blah, blah. He literally would have a check there in his van. He'd come out and handwrite a check for, if it's $70,000, he'd go, here's a $40,000 advance. Get going. Like, damn. So our cash flow was like boom, 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 right? Like nonstop. And it got harder and harder and harder and harder. I became a State Farm Premier vendor, and then they started controlling where you buy things, how you do things. Exactly, it became a big deal. And so what happened was the funnel started squishing it down. So your profits started going out the window as well. It was less fun. It was less. You had to be more structured and, had to hire staff to control these things. And then once again, your profit margin goes way down. Your overhead went way up. And then I'm not paying attention. I'm coming in like crazy. And, I think one year we did 20 million, but it cost me 22 million to do it. And you didn't realize until the end oh shit.
At the end of the year. Yeah.
Like, whoa, what's going on here? And then, you start buying cars and, another house, and you do this and you do that because you're young and you're stupid. Right. And, I got 2 kids, and I need a new Suburban. I need to go buy this Corvette. I need blah, blah, blah. So you get caught up in that crap. And man, it's, and I did it. I'm not going to kid you. I probably overspent way too much back in the day because it's easy, right? You got $1 million coming in every month into your account. How can you be losing money? Well, when it costs you 1.2 and it's the best. But that's, that's business 101. And I wish all of us would just slow down a little bit and have better I never had really a mentor. It was kind of just, I learned as I went. Even in the PA thing, you just kind of, when I started, there was no training. There was hardly any, you just went and got your license, and you thought writing a good Xactimate, that was being a PA, and that's not really being a PA. That has nothing to do with it. So, yeah.
That's all interesting. I live that as the son of somebody like Jack Hayes. My father, and I know those ups and downs, and I most of the things I like to say is that I learned from people's mistakes around me, but the spending money, I didn't learn that.
Your dad not been around forever. You've seen it full circle. It's a pendulum. It comes and it goes, and it moves, and it shifts and goes back, and you just got to weather the storm, and you got to see what's ahead 5 years, because it'll change again.
Now, what was it with you? Did you find an operational guy to kind of level you out? Did you find an operational team to level you out? How did you start to level that out? Or was it a different mission? It's like, okay, I can go out and get great claims. I'm good at that. Let's just focus on getting the right claims, the right size claims.
It's all of that, actually. So when I was at Skipton for 5 years, and they did, I was great, and they great time, had a blast, and I just. The joke was it was Skipton and Associates, but the Associates were the kid. I was the ampersand, right? So I was I was at the point where I couldn't go any farther with that business. So, so I had, when I was thinking about leaving, I had a stack of offers on my desk from every firm you could ever think of. And I'm like, man, so I really, so partnerships are difficult, right?
Yeah.
Right. And these are all, I have a lot of great friends that are great business owners in this business. And I talk to them weekly or biweekly, and they're still my friends. I'm like, I have a feeling, knowing myself, that if I go into this with somebody else on the same level as me, it's going to implode, because you can't have two bosses. Right. Yeah. And if I'm going to do this, I want to do it the way I have it vision, and the way I want to do it, and kind of do it right. And I want to do what I want to do, how I want to do it. I don't want to adapt. I don't want to, You know what I mean? Fit into someone else's thing.
There's multiple ways to skin a cat. There's multiple ways to run a business. Business principle is universal. But you've got to run that race. You've got to build that business and run that business model. You can't do two different business models at once. That's what people don't understand. It's not that Jack Hank's way is the only way, but if you're going to do it Jack Hank's way, you can't do it anybody else's way as well. That's what people don't really get with that whole, it doesn't have to be. No, it does. There's got to be a leader that runs the business that way.
Yeah, so my whole thing is I got a partner that he's an operations guy, and he owns a percentage of the business. And like, here's my deal. I want to dump my guts and my brains out once a week. We run an EOS system here. It's been a godsend for me because I could dump all my garbage because my head doesn't stop. I could dump all the garbage into a platform, and then my operations team goes, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Oh, this is gold. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. This is gold." Right? Yeah. Because before, all my ideas were gold, Alan. Right? Everything I thought of. I'm doing that. I'm going to all these trade shows. And you come to find out where you don't need to do all that, right? So we have a very, I do the visionary thing very well, and I've learned to take all my ideas, dump it in there, and then the first year I'm like, "What do you mean these ideas are dumb?" I'm like, "Come on, it's me," and they're like, "You're an idiot." And then I finally figured out that there's a reason why. You fail, and so if you limit the failures and enhance what the positives are, that's what excels. That's kind of what we're doing. You know, we started out fast, of course, and we're still going fast, but I've limited. We've limited. We don't take denied claims anymore. Okay, it's too hard because, man, so the hard part about being a PA, man, is we all have a heart to do everything for everybody, and we can't. So what we started doing is we're being selective, but if it's a denied claim with an engineer report and two re-inspections, let's be honest with you, what are the chances of that being overturned? Less than 10%, right? Yeah. On a good day. So I can't spend our company assets chasing these golden rainbows.
Well, I don't see it as so much as it can't get overturned or anything like that. I just think it's more of you're up here. Right. So why, again, chase and waste time chasing those bad claims? I mean, even if the damage is great, even if it's a great claim, but it's at that level, that's going to take more work to get it to the goal line. And you got to think efficiency. You're in that place where you got to think efficiently. And so if you're taking your team that has limited time, limited availability, and you're chasing this one, could be a bigger claim, could be better damage, but the situation, the claim status is going to be so much harder for your team. It's going to cost you more money. You need to focus on the ones that are better suited for you and the better status. And nobody's going to hold it against Jack Hanks for choosing which ones you take and you don't take. You're at the level. You've earned that. You went through the bullshit to get the cream of the top, and now that's what you take.
I love it. We've trained so many PAs around the country. I have like a stable now with 300 guys. So what I've been doing is, hey, I'm not, we get a residential $30,000 claim into North Carolina. We can't perform at that, like the level we need to perform. But however, here's 3 guys that I've trained that I trust. I'll connect them, and then sure enough, one of them will be the perfect fit for this, right? So we're at that point where, thank God, every claim that comes in here, we have a safe landing for that claim. It may not be under our platform, right? But I will find a place for that. It's either appraisal or here's a local PA that I know very well that I trust. I can put you with, and they'll work their asses off on this. We can't, and I'll help mentor that and I'll go through it and make sure they're on the same page. And we spend a lot of time, probably more than we should. However, we do feel a sense of, we need to help everybody we can and put them in the right place, right? And that's working out great. And our profit margins have quadrupled since we started.
There you go. That's huge. We say that I've got an operational partner as well because I'm the same way. We probably have a lot of the same traits, Jack and I. Yeah. But I found that I have to round out my weaknesses with other people's strengths. So I always bring in people that are better than me. You have to. And one of the things that we do is we always have to have a solution or options. If it's going to be no with National Claims Advisors, it's going to be here's an answer, though. I'm not going to leave you hanging. We're always going to find a solution for that client. And that solution isn't always us. Sometimes it's not. But you're going to have a solution. You're going to have an answer.
And I've learned that I used to think of that as a failure, but it's not. If I can put that insured in a better position, because we're probably not the answer all the time, right? But, Joe Smith, who works in Carlton, Texas, and stays in that zip code, that's his thing. He's a much better option for them, man. And that's not being, I find that's not being greedy or being, it's doing what's best for the insured. And when we do that, if we all did that as a group, it would be so much better, but we all don't do that, right? And that's part of the problem too. So.
Screw people over. Loyalty, I'm most loyal to the client, and I'm loyal to a fault to the client. So even if it faults me and my company to where I don't make any money off of it, I don't benefit off of it anyway, I'm looking out for what's in their best interest. And there it is. That's how we run it.
When we do that, when you give, it comes back out. It comes back tenfold. I would say it's amazing. Or, we'll send out 10 residential claims we didn't touch. All of a sudden, on the 11th call, it's a $4 million deal in Omaha, right? I'm like, that pays off, right? Because I can't tie my guys down on 50 residential claims, but if I can go do one big one in Omaha, and then the other 50 people are still okay, that's a perfect scenario for everybody, right? So.
So let's get into that. So you are now here today. So we went through some of the early years and some of the struggles, some of the pain points. Found out what that pain point was in a lot of cases. That's Jack's inability to say no. Now that you found it, in the last few years, you've grown to this point where you're probably the largest. I mean, in my mind, you are. I don't know who isn't the largest when it comes to public adjusters and big claims and things like that. What's some fun stuff? Maybe a big commercial win, or maybe a teammate winning, or some notable. Tell me some stories about some big claims. That's what I want to hear.
Well, I mean, honestly, today, for instance, we just got a check just now before so the first claim we signed as Velocity Public Adjusting in May of 2021.
Wow.
With a 5-story commercial building. We were at $3.9 million. The carrier was at $400,000. We settled last week, and literally before we started, the check just got FedExed here, and that took 24 months. And that's our first claim. So, we just settled another one 2 days ago in South Texas for a good friend of mine, Nick Forcell. The carrier's at $13,000. We're at 2.9. We got a check for 2.82. So, so what I've learned is when you're right and you're diligent and you're fair and you're forthright and you don't pound your fists on the desk and you don't yell and scream and you don't pout and be a little baby and you just keep, I just sent Nick a screenshot. I had 173 emails on that claim.
Wow.
173 emails, and that one took 10 months, right? The client's whole, my contractor's going to be profitable, and we made a nice little a fee check on it. But and the insurance company didn't get killed either, right? It's fair, right? It's not some stupid throwing stuff against the wall to make it stick, man. It's about a fair settlement that makes. And I want we need the insurance companies to be okay too, because we need them in business.
We'll put them out of business. We're all screwed.
So we've had right now. I think we have 232 large losses we're working on, which is. I'm talking about, we're right now, we have large losses in 22 states, I want to say. Anywhere from North Carolina, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio, Maine, we had a huge one, Florida, of course, Colorado, Illinois, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, California. We've become that the last, year or so, or 2 years. We've become this large loss firm. And I'll tell you what, it's so... it's a different level of stuff. It's so enjoyable, and even the carrier side, these guys they know what they're doing. They understand. Big checks are not an exception. It's how it works. And you're dealing with these large loss adjusters. That $3 million claim is a $3 million claim, right? We still got to prove it's your thing, and they still don't want to pay it all the time. But you gotta, you get there. We've never. Knock on wood, we've never not got to a fair settlement on any of these so far. And it's a lot of work, though. Like I talked about at the beginning, it's a work ethic thing, right? So I think we found our little niche. And it's been.
Yeah, I see you're doing a great job there. And you mentioned so many about these people throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks, mistreating it. We've talked before about 95% of the people that do what we do are bad. Doing it wrong, doing it unethically, screwing over the policyholder. I'm not trying to be dramatic on this and call people out. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but there's so much bad, and so sometimes the business model as a public adjuster makes more sense to be bad. Like it really does in many cases. So how do you keep that? How do you toe that line?
Well, so here's the thing with that. To become a public adjuster, it took me about 14 minutes.
Yeah.
You take a couple practice tests. I don't have any felonies. I went and got my fingerprints. I got my $50 bond and I took my test. And in 48 hours, I became a PA. Well, that's a problem in itself because keep in mind,
that's a huge problem.
At that point, I could have went and signed a $5 million claim and gotten a huge check in my mailbox about 60 days later and been a disaster with it. So the entry level to become a public adjuster needs to be about 900 times harder. It needs to be 900 times harder.
So there needs to be deeper requirements for public adjusting.
Yeah. And same thing with attorneys. I mean, I talked to Galen and I talked to John Black and all these guys, and there's no insurance class in law school. There's no insurance.
Yeah.
And I just
engineers, all of that kind of stuff as well. Like as far as
go ahead,
public, you think about it on the insurance side of things. If you want to be an adjuster on an IA, they have different levels of adjusters. Like they have you can only write up to 20,000. Then it gets up to up, and a general adjuster, whatever. So why don't public adjusters have that? You should not be able to get your license and go settle a $5 million claim. You should be working on those $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 residential claims. Like, why would you not have different levels of public adjusters?
That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, so exactly. Like, I feel we've earned the right to do $30 million claims, right? Because we've earned that. But 10, 15 years ago, there's no way in living hell because I'm not going to do the right thing for the client. There needs to be several levels or something to get to, because it's how many PAs have you heard? And it's all over LinkedIn and Facebook. These PAs get these checks and they're gone, right? And they're doing this and doing that, and they're driving big old trucks the next day, or they're doing this, and it's a fiduciary responsibility we have, and it's scary and it's sad and it's too easy. So raising the bar to get an entry, and then raising the bar even more to become a large loss or fiduciary is the thing. We got to figure that out. So that's the thing. And we're talking about having some standards in our own industry that we need to start working on them, because the carriers aren't going to do it and the state legislatures aren't going to do it. Right. So at the end of the day, we as an industry need to do it ourselves. Otherwise it's never going to happen. And then I actually think that when we start doing that, which we're working on, it's going to help the industry as a whole. And in turn, that should help the insurance company kind of like maybe just a little bit relax them, because it is such a bunch of dirt bags working on this. And we've created our own problems in Florida. Look what's happened there. I mean, Florida was a gold mine for everybody. And then we shit in our own gold mine. We did.
Killed the golden goose.
We killed it.
And we can point the finger at public adjusters. We could point the finger at attorneys, because there's, like you were saying, there's attorneys that are just as bad. There's contractors that are just as bad, but they all killed it. They all really did. And, a big part of the difference, the one thing, like you said, barrier to entry, and then like people, a governing body. So that's what I think of the difference when it comes to attorneys. Like there's a big law firm right now that is getting in a lot of trouble for doing what you said you did with your construction business. You grew too fast. You brought in too many claims. It was an operational nightmare. This is something, I've made that mistake in business. Multiple people have made that mistake in business. If you have ever attempted big business and you probably made some mistakes, or you may have went out of business. But a law firm can't do that, because when you make big mistakes in big business as a lawyer, you have governing parties that are going to screw you over. You're going to be in a lot of trouble that most people would just think, oh, that's just a normal issue. Like, no, that's not a normal issue. So I do think that I think there should be a governing body that holds public adjusters to the same standard.
Yeah, like 100%. Yes. And if we screw up, we should be, I mean, the Department of Insurance does what they need to do, right? But at that point, it's usually too late.
It's way too late.
Yeah, it's already gone, and you file bankruptcy and you move to Costa Rica and you're done. You're done.
I think and it really bothers me that there's a lot of public adjusters out there that like just clout themselves on social media as this or that, and they're not doing any public adjusting. You're just taking pictures of yourself or other people that are not classy and disgusting and trying to get big claims come your way, and then just throwing it off to real public adjusters or attorneys, and you're playing this kind of weird. Well, and there's
it's called case running, and a lot of PAs back in the day, and even now, that's why once again, Florida, a lot of PAs are case runners for law firms. They'll go out, sign it up, send one letter in or an estimate, and they'll say no, and then they'll flip it right to the attorney. That's not adjusting. It's called case running, and it's illegal. So let's and the insurance. Once again, here's my philosophy, man. The insurance companies at any minute could spend about, I don't know, $100 million and put every one of us out of business, including you guys, because they don't want to deal with us anymore.
They buy us.
Like, here's your check, get out, or I'm going to pass. I'm going to get some laws passed where this is illegal bullshit. And you're out. Arkansas, Alabama, that's what they've already done. So my thing is, the insurance companies allow us to play in their sandbox. They do, because at any time they can squash us like a bug, buy us, put us out of business, pass laws to screw us even more. So we need to start raising the bar so the public perception of what we are is a bunch of ambulance chasing locusts, because that's what they portray us as. And unfortunately, a lot of the industry falls into that because that's who they are, right? And it sucks. And we need to stop. And I agree with you. There has to be a governing body where we're self-policing ourselves. Or if Joe Blow in Missouri screws up, we got to handle that internally before it becomes a thing and cut that off at the knees. And until that happens, the insurance company is going to keep passing these laws, and the Department of Insurance are going to keep getting harder and more difficult. And this is what happens, man. If you crap in your sandbox, this is what happens every time.
Yeah. So do you have anything in mind to fix that? Are you working on anything personally to what you can do, or no?
We are. I cannot quite go down that road yet, Mr. Mick, but you and I have had some. So, we are working on something. I just, about 2 months ago, I was in a hotel in Jackson, Mississippi, and I just had a couple glasses of wine in me. We were doing our Pinot by the pool, and I just had enough. I had enough of the crap on social media. I work hard. I think we do a pretty damn good job here. There's a lot of great PAs, a lot of them. There's a lot of great law firms. There's a lot of great people in this industry. However, it's less than a handful. And it's very sad. So I'm at the point where I can only control what we do and what our group does, right? If I can't control outside that, nor the insurance company. I can't control if the insurance company wants to die a valid claim, that's their decision, and I can't control that. What I can do, however, is package up a good claim, present it fairly and amiably with facts and data, and if that's the case, then we can certainly go to another option. I can go hire Dalian Black or Chip or John Wood to go pursue that legally, right? I can't control it. What I can control, though, is how I deal with the claim and how our group deals with the claim. So, we're working on some internal standards as a group to raise the bar of this stuff, because enough is enough. Enough is enough is enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Yeah. I've seen that change from you, where you've you've gone from we're Jack Hanks, we're VPA, we're the best, bringing in these big claims, to where now you're pulling people together. And, yes, you have told me personally some more about what you want to do, but even if we didn't have those conversations, I would assume you are, just because, again, I see this Pinot by the pool, which is really cool. Tell us about that. That's something you're doing every Thursday, correct?
You know what? Yeah, we could, every other Thursday. So once again, I like good wine, Alan, you know that, right?
Yeah, big wine guy.
Yeah, I love wine. So, there were no platforms and there were no safe spaces for people to come in and just hang out and ask questions and not get berated on Facebook and talk about stuff. And I started doing this Pinot by the Pool thing about a year ago. And it's been the greatest platform for people, a safe space to come in, have a glass of wine or a beer or a Diet Coke or a glass of your favorite whiskey, and you hang out and we just talk, man. And it's spurred this organic movement, and the people were getting involved. It's been amazing. The people coming on, and we don't invite anybody. It's an open forum. It's Facebook Live and it's Zoom, and you register, and you come on in, and you just sit there, and there's no inhibitions. There's no bashing. There's no platform. I've had IAs. I've had insurance adjusters from the other side. I've had brokers. I've had all these things, and this is a safe spot to get the dialogue started, man. Right? Because once again, all insurance companies aren't bad either, Alan. Right? All IAs aren't bad. Right? So we want to start that talk of, hey, man, what's the common ground here? Well, there's probably 86% of it's common ground, but there's that 15% of garbage on both sides that we got to work on. But we got to work on it together, man. And
got to.
If we start bashing the insurance companies over the head every time, they're like, dude, we don't need this shit. And so the Pinot by the Pool thing has been a very organic, safe place for everyone on. When I say both sides, I want to get rid of that fence as well. Everyone on insurance carrier, engineers, plaintiff attorneys, defense attorneys, IAs, brokers, just to come in and talk, man, and just have the dialogue of what makes sense. And you get a couple glasses of wine in you, and it takes the stuff away, and everybody can relax a little bit. And it's been great for us, and that organically has led into a bunch of different things that we're working on. About associations and raising bars and ethics and morals and self-policing, and just a safe spot for everybody to land, to be together as one instead of all this. Dude, I never seen another piano claim, so there's no competition anymore. It's just all about us working together to get the thing up where it needs to be. I'm tired of us looking like a bunch of used car salesmen. I am.
Yeah.
We don't need.
And I'm glad you're in that position to where you're the one driving that, because I trust you. I trust you to be that person.
Well, I had this. This may sound really weird and really egotistical, or whatever. We won the PA year thing a couple years ago at Win the Storm. Yep. I remember there's a coffee shop up the road here, and I stopped there every morning. And I remember sitting in the drive-thru, and I got my breakfast burrito and my coffee. And I had this trophy sitting next to me. And a lot of people are like, you had to buy the trophy. We didn't buy the trophy. We fucking earned that trophy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember sitting there going, you know what? I've accomplished a lot in my career. We've made a lot of money. We've lost a lot of money. We've done a lot of dumb things. Done a lot of great things. And I'm at the point. I'm 50. I'm going to be 57. My kid works here. We have a great staff, a bunch of young kids coming up. And I had this this epiphany. I'm like, Hanks, you got to start giving back. You can't just be take. You got to start giving back to the world that you're in, because in 10 years, this may not be a world anymore, right? Yeah. The PA thing may be gone. The attorney stuff may be gone, right? So we got to start. I felt this epiphany to start bringing the group together and being just. I've earned this voice. I have this torch in my hand, and I can either use it to build this self-fulfilling prophecy of Jack Hanks being, or I can take the whole community up together. Which is a hell of it's hard, bro. I'm not going to kid you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very much needed. And I feel I've earned that after this many years. And that's what we're doing. We're going to come together. We're going to do, I don't expect perfection. Right? What I expect is authenticity and hard work and transparency. So when something does go wrong, we can fix it together, right? Not just back each other on Facebook, right? Because mistakes are going to be made. Whatever's going to happen, but as long as we're working out together, we're still cool, and we got to get to that point. And I'm very determined the next 12 to 24 months that we create something that it's unbelievably great, and it's open for everyone, including the carriers. They need to be involved.
Yeah. They need to be involved as well. We need their input. So, I love that. I can't wait to have you back on the show after that announcement comes, so we can talk about that, because I'm really excited for it. And I do want you. I've enjoyed this episode so far, and I really do want you on the show for another episode, so we can get more into that kind of stuff.
Right on.
But I want to move into probably my favorite segment of the show. This is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So are you a big fan of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Were you? you watch much TV at the time? It sounds like
Is
you
that
were
Howie
extremely
Mandel
busy.
back in the day? Yeah.
No, that was not Howie Mandel.
Oh, it was
Regis.
Regis Philbin.
Regis.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that.
Big Regis guy. He's in. To me, it was one of the best shows there was. They even made
that.
a movie about it. Slumdog Millionaire, all
That's
based
right, yep.
off of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's that big.
Yep.
So we've got a little bit. It's a little bit different than your typical Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. First, we don't have a live audience, so you can't have that lifeline as the audience. But you do have two other lifelines, and it's phone a friend or 50-50. Okay. So my last guest, I had a guest earlier today. He was complaining about my questions being too hard because I stumped him. It was John Black, Daily Black. I stumped him. So you got a little easier questions, and you can thank him for that. But we'll go ahead and get into it. And I wish I had the sound, but who wants to be a millionaire? So I know you're a big wine guy.
Yep.
And you're also and you like to do big things, big roofs, big claims, big business. So big is very much in that, right? So the wine, there's different classifications, different levels of wine bottles. So the largest bottle of wine is a Nebuchadnezzar. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
I can't pronounce it. It's like Nebuchad Nezar. So Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
But how many bottles of wine does a Nebuchadnezzar hold? Is it A, 20 bottles of wine, B, 15 bottles of wine, C, 4 bottles of wine, or D, 28 bottles of wine? This is one giant bottle of wine that holds that many bottles of wine.
So I would think the more volume would dilute it. So I'm going to say I would think 4 would be the right answer because that would make more sense to me.
You're going to go 4. So the biggest bottle of wine you can buy only holds 4 bottles of wine.
Yeah, I think it would dilute the. It wouldn't hold that well. It's my guess.
So is that final answer? No lifelines, just straight up.
Yep.
C, 4. You're wrong.
Really?
So, I think I would have gotten closer than that because back in my big party and drinking days, I would buy the big bottles of champagne and I would spray them everywhere, like the giant, the magnums and stuff like that. And I think those are 4, but this one's actually 20 bottles of wine.
Really?
So there's a bottle of wine out there that holds 20 bottles of wine.
It's probably $3 a bottle though, so that's not my stuff's funny because it would be very expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to look it up and take a peek. But okay, so moving on to the next question. You're a big Arizona guy.
Yes, sir.
You've been in Arizona since the 80s. That's a long time.
Yeah.
So Arizona, if you think of their sports teams, you think Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other Cardinals out there. And the Cardinal is a little wrong with the Arizona Cardinals. So, and it has to do with the color of the beak.
Yes.
So what color is a Cardinal's beak? Is it A, yellow, B, green, C, orange, or D, red? And I want to clarify, not the color of the Arizona Cardinals beak. That one's actually wrong. It's what is the real Cardinal? What is the color of its beak?
Well, I believe the beak on the helmet's yellow, if I remember right. Correct? What were the other 3 options again?
It's either yellow, green, orange, or red.
God, I would have guessed gray.
Gray. I should have put that on there.
Yeah, how about give me a 50-50 of that one?
Give you a 50-50. So I will take away the yellow.
Okay.
So that one's pretty obvious. And I'll take away the green. So it's either orange or red.
Well, their feathers are red, so that wouldn't make any sense either. I guess I'm going to say red, though, because orange would be way out. So I'm going to say red.
You're going to say red. Final answer.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yep.
It is red. So you got one. There you go. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a Cardinal in real life, but I couldn't imagine a bright red beak.
It makes no sense.
I would have said orange. Yeah. That's why I pushed for orange, but there you go.
You got to be logical in this kind of it's like handling claims. You have to be logical. So
you got to be logical. It is answering the questions right. That's why I don't like the multiple choice. It almost gives away the question sometimes. So this one, you're well known for experience matters, but you also throw up the deuce very often. So you're a big peace sign, throw up the deuce guy, right? Yep. Experience matters. And so I thought about that. So when was the peace sign created?
Oh, boy. My gut feeling is back in the 60s in the Vietnam area. I remember that was it was a little bit before my time, but not a lot.
So it's A, 1972,
okay.
B, 1969, C, 1801, or D, 1958.
Ooh. So my gut feeling is in the 60s, but that's too obvious. I'm going to say the earliest date. Was it 1801?
1801 was the earliest.
I'm going to try that one.
That's your final answer. No lifeline.
Yeah.
Just going for it. Okay. You're wrong. Yeah. It was 1958. You're really close.
Yeah.
So it was Gerald Holtham he was a British graphic artist. And it was February of 1958 on behalf of the British Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. So it was like really pushing against the nuclear Cold War and the peace sign. And then the fingers were basically the peace, V. They call it the V, I guess.
Yeah, because back in the 60s when the Vietnam War thing was prevalent, that was a crazy thing. Yeah. All that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So right after that. So you were close. You should have went with your gut. You had it.
Yeah, it was too obvious, so I felt. So.
Yeah. Okay, so this one. What was the largest insurance claim event?
Oh.
So there's been a lot of insurance claim events out there. A lot of hurricanes, tornadoes. What was the largest? Is it A, Hurricane Ian? That was a recent one in Southwest Florida. B, Hurricane Katrina. C, Lehman Brothers Bank collapse. Or D, the 2008 financial crisis.
Well, I know Katrina wasn't it wasn't as deep financially because it was such a small area. In Ian, they're still tabulating, so that can't be a thing. So Lehman Brothers or the collapse in 2008, is that what you said?
Yep.
Well, the dollar has more value now, so I'm guessing the Lehman Brothers thing would be more.
Is that your final answer? You don't want to phone a friend? You still got that one lifeline left.
Yeah, I don't trust any of my friends. They're not that smart.
There you go.
I'm going to say the Lehman Brothers.
Is that this final answer?
Yeah.
C, Lehman Brothers. So it's actually the 2008 financial crisis. It's funny because you narrowed it down to the two, and it's a world of difference. Like the 2008 financial crisis, $21 trillion. $21 trillion. And it hasn't ever been like announced, but the AIG almost went down. AIG is huge. Yeah. So there was a lot of banks that went down, and it was all insurance related. And it's funny. It had more to do with other things. I just had John Black on the show earlier today, and I asked him the same question, and he got it right away. But he was an attorney suing like big banks back then. Yeah. So he actually got a $1.7 billion settlement due to the 2008 financial crisis because it was two big businesses that were in a lawsuit over breach of contract. Wow. And they won. They were suing him for $4 billion, and the banks acted like they were never going to give anything up, and he ended up getting a $1.7 billion settlement out of it.
Did they pay or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did they just go out of business afterwards? Right?
Sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Those are crazy days. I don't think people understand how in depth some of that stuff gets and how it affects what's going on today because keep in mind, insurance companies are for-profit organizations. And when the economy suffers, it hurts their P&L, which in turn hurts our claim settlements. Claims have not much to do with damage anymore. It's all about the P&L statements on the other side.
It's all about the P&L, the actuaries, how far away they are, the underwriting. They attribute the 2008 to the Lehman Brothers bank collapse.
Oh, sure.
So it had a lot to do with that, the mortgage crisis and all that. So it's what is Silicon Valley Bank going to do to our economy 3 to 5 years from now?
Oh, the problem is nobody really knows, and I don't think they take the problem is how does that even happen nowadays? It's crazy to me, but it still happens, and it's horrible investments. And I mean, look at the Bitcoin stuff with Tom Brady and those guys. Same thing. What a bunch of horrible decisions. Yeah.
Let's go. The NFCs that people were buying was that 2 years ago? There's been $150,000 on pictures of apes. I hope you didn't get into that, but yeah.
No, I'm down and dirty, easygoing guy with my stuff. So
there you go. Go. Well, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Let me grab. We'll go ahead and end it now. Is there any way to get a hold of Jack Haynes? Like, who's your ideal client? How do we get a hold of you?
Anybody with a large property loss or, the biggest thing too is before you're a client, you probably need to become a client because everybody waits too long. If I can see what you have before it hits, I can tell you the safeguards to put in place with these policies. And, your large deductibles are always a thing. My cell, 480-766-6565. It's always on. Text me. My email, jack@vpa.claims. We answer them very quickly, very very efficiently. So get a hold of me anytime, guys. We appreciate everything, and we appreciate our position in this industry. We appreciate you guys and letting us on these platforms. And we don't take our position lightly. We mean what we say, and we're all about bringing everybody up with us. So it's pretty cool. I really
awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
I love it. Well, thanks for being on the show, man.
You got it, brother. Thank you.